Welcome in, everybody. My name is Adam, the Orlando drummer. I'm here at the Earthworks booth. We're going to talk microphones here. And I've got with me the very talented, the legendary Jonathan Sugarfoot Moffett. How are you, sir?
I'm doing fine, thank you.
Awesome, awesome. Man, it's a pleasure to sit down and speak with you. You've played with some, absolutely incredible artists over the years, and it's just awesome to sit across from you and talk about anything, microphones or not.
It's a pleasure to be here. Yeah, I really am blessed. The little boy who had a dream to play with some major artists and get recognized for his talents and the time he put in practicing his drums, and people appreciate my spirit that I speak with, because drumming is like a language,
Yes.
as the music is.
It is,
and
yeah.
So many people relate to my conversation I have on my drums.
Sure, absolutely.
Yes.
I say that all the time. It's a language. It certainly is.
It is.
Absolutely, man.
Yes.
So when were you first introduced to Earthworks mics?
Last year.
Last year?
Tony Thunderbird Smith, he introduced me. He brought me by.
There you go.
Tony Thunder Smith, and introduced me to them. I heard them, and I really like the sound character of them. I love the design of them, and they're very beautifully well done.
Absolutely.
And then I used them on the Drumeo video I did last year.
Yep, you had them at Drumeo. I saw those, yeah.
Yes, and they translated incredibly well.
They do.
Yes, very, very beautiful sound.
Absolutely.
I consider microphones your translators, that speaks the language of you, what you're putting forth from your spirit.
That's exactly
So
what they are.
I think they're the best translators as far as microphones for drums.
Sure.
And anything else, and vocal as well.
Yes, absolutely. I think when drummers spend a lot of time investing in their instrument,
Yes.
in everything from your head selection to your tuning to your shells, the wood type, all those things, you're chasing a sound, right? You're chasing that voice that you want to connect with. And I think it's a shame if you got a microphone that adds all these other colors and textures and things that you didn't want in that instrument, I think the transparency of Earthworks is just incredibly important, Do you feel the same?
I feel the same. I think what we play on our instruments is our dialect.
Yes.
And our voice, and character voice is our individuality.
Yeah.
So I think I'm looking for a sound that really puts forth the rhythms that I'm speaking, and the tone character of the voice I want them to say.
Exactly.
If I want it more articulate, then of course the microphones, you can dial it in with EQ and everything, but it's better to start off with a good natural sound in the microphone, inherent in the microphone itself, before you start adding and dialing in a bunch of more EQs, and which adds noise. Every time you turn that more EQ, bass, treble, or whatever, mid-range, it adds noise as well. So you got to get the translated microphones that naturally transmit the sound that you want to hear, that you hear, that you want to perform as your identity.
Yeah.
Because what we do now, not only our rhythms, but the sound of our equipment is our identity that people identify with.
Absolutely, and it's funny, you could draw that analogy for, let's say we didn't speak the same language. You speak English and I spoke Spanish. We had a translator.
Yeah.
I want that translator to be as accurate as possible, right? To not twist my words and add a different dialect to it, you know, right?
Exactly.
And I think, we're on the same page. That's exactly what Earthworks does,
That expresses the emotion that I'm putting forth too.
Correct.
Very important, because drums and rhythms, as well as and music as a whole, is emotion that people relate to. Our transmitters from our soul through our instruments reach the receptors and the receivers of the hearts and soul of the people in the audience.
Correct.
And we want them to feel exactly what we feel and what we're trying to put forth.
Yeah.
So they can understand who I am as an identity and as a person.
Exactly.
Because that sets me apart as an individual from all other drummers or musicians.
Yeah. And in that chain, from when your head hits that drum or that cymbal, and then that sound makes its way through a whole, series of audio equipment, right? And then out of the speaker into their ears. Yeah. The first thing that sound hits is the microphone, And I think people really underestimate, what a good mic can do for translating that sound, that spirit, accurately,
It's the most important in between the drums and the patterns and the rhythms I'm playing that starts there, and it's the first in between before it gets to the EQs and the compressors. So it's the most important one.
Exactly.
That we have to have that. And if you start with that at the right, as close to the right image that you want to put forth,
correct,
then all the rest is just colors and adds a little bit of here on the EQs and the compressors or whatever, the delays, the reverbs.
Yep.
But it starts closest to the sound that I'm trying to project with the microphone.
Exactly.
And I want that to be inherent and be exactly what I want then we can, if we want to change the colors, the dynamics of it, we can add the other processors.
We've got that later.
And make a different picture, a collage of sound.
Exactly.
But I want it to be, when it hits the microphone, that is me as an identity and as a person.
Correct.
And I think that's the most important point.
Absolutely. Bringing in that accurate representation of what you say.
Exactly. So people can hear it accurately.
Of course.
And they can experience it spiritually accurately. I'm trying, the emotion and the feeling I'm trying to put forth to them, to make them move, to make them feel it, to make them, to feel the rhythm and dance or move their neck or get into the conversation I'm having with them, between them and I.
Of course. And a lot of times, isn't that the same thing? That's the difference between hearing music live and hearing it on an album. When live music has that special feeling, right? Because there's no interruption between that voicing and it's right to you,
Exactly.
And a lot of that can be lost on an album that was mixed poorly or over EQ'd, over compressed, things like that. And I think the whole philosophy of Earthworks is to do the exact opposite, right? To offer that immediate transparency,
Well, it's all about quality, and Earthworks is about quality. Starting from the build and first the design of the instruments.
Beautiful, Mike. Look at what we're talking into. Beautiful.
Yes, exactly. I was telling Kim how beautiful this microphone is.
Yeah, they're gorgeous.
The new design is incredible.
Yeah.
Like Star Trek, what meets a real classics design as well.
Yes.
And but each individual instrument, like one of those sitting on the desk right there, are really designed. They're like Rolls Royces of microphones.
Yeah, beautiful.
The quality of the materials used, and the components in them.
Yeah.
And it translates to the sound that they project from what I'm putting into them.
Absolutely.
Of quality.
Yes.
And I think that's important to keep your talent and keep your presentation, your identity on the top quality of everything in
Absolutely.
music. So that's why I love them so much, because not only they transmit incredibly well, but they're beautiful to even look at and to mark your drum set as part of an inherent part of your look of the drum set.
Absolutely.
Which is important too.
Yeah, they got a nice aesthetic, and they're not bulky and in the way and things like that. And it's funny you mentioned build quality, because obviously you can hold an Earthworks mic and tell. I mean, they're heavy, they're weighted very nice.
Exactly.
But our instrument, I don't want to call it a violent instrument, but we hit things. We hit them hard sometimes.
Yeah, we are violent. I'm sorry, we are violent.
It could be
You're trying to tone it down a little bit. Well, drummers are violent. I'm sorry.
We are violent. Hey, man, we beat things for a living with sticks.
But violent, like Michael said, with love.
Yeah.
Violent with love.
Exactly. Well said, Michael.
But they're also sexy. I think these are designed. Look how sexy that is.
They're very sexy.
Microphone, very sexy. Look at this microphone. It's very sexy.
This one is the sexiest microphone.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Yes, indeed.
Yep. That's awesome. Well, with that build quality, obviously, you want your expensive mics to be heavy and to feel good and all those things, but they can take a beating. I mean, we all have accidentally whacked a microphone real hard, and you go, oh man, I hope that thing still works. And
I'm guilty too. I've done that a lot of times. Especially on a snare mic.
Yeah.
Especially on a snare mic.
They're as tough as they come, man. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, do you have a favorite Earthworks mic? Anything that stuck out over the years?
I introduced them last year, and I like the sonic quality of all of them. The bass drum mic is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
And the drum roll videos that I've done, it really get the dynamics of the low end, but at the same time, it got the attack, the finesse of it.
I said the same thing.
The articulation of
it.
I really a favorite of that.
Absolutely. A lot of times when you're picking a kick drum mic, you either go with something, let's say an Audix D6. That's a boomy, modern, ultra low end, right?
Yeah.
Or you can go, you could pick another microphone. It's a little too snappy, a little too attacky. But I agree, the blend of those kick mics, is really, really well rounded.
Yeah, when I play on my bass drum, I use a lot of times intricate figures. So it needs to translate those without the notes running into each other and becoming a big sonic mud, so to speak.
Yeah.
Because I'm doing intricate figures and it's syncopated figures. So
sure.
It's important to have a microphone that translates that 10K, 8K, 4K, 3K.
Yeah.
And gives me that attack from the mallet of the bass drum.
Yeah.
I'm very much into that. I always tell the sound engineer to add those frequencies.
Yeah.
That brings out those sonic edgy points of the mallet and attack on the bass drum, so you can hear the figures and equations that I'm playing on the bass drum when I'm quantizing the bass drum patterns and stuff. So then it could cut through the low end, but I do need low end to give it that body and that soul.
Of course.
So, but not booming. I don't like over booming bass drum.
Exactly.
So it's got to get more low mids.
Yeah.
Than the sub lows.
Yeah.
And I think the combination in the one mic of a bass drum mic that Earthworks creates gives me both of those in one. I don't have to add a lot to it to get it.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I record in a recording studio full time is what I do, and I work with a lot of different engineers and things like that. And I always hear incredible feedback from engineers, even if they've never heard them before.
Yeah.
They run them through the mics, and you get your signals, and they go, man, this sounds pretty wild. Do you have that experience too? Have you heard feedback from engineers?
Oh, on the microphones?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they love the microphones.
They love them,
Absolutely,
right?
yes. It's easy for them to work with. They don't have to do a lot to them to add to them to get the sound, true sound out of them.
Yeah.
And that's what they say. These mics are easy to work with.
Very.
To get sound, I have to dial a lot of things in to create a sound.
Yeah.
The sound is created inherent in the microphone itself.
Exactly.
The best place to start.
Well said. Yeah, yeah. Of course, the isolation too is the number one thing I hear most often. You know, the lack of bleed on those microphones. You know, you could put a beautiful mic on a tom. That tom sounds great, but I'm also hearing all my other toms and my snare and my hi-hats, all that bleed in there. Yeah. And I find for reasons like that, you know, obviously the clarity, transparency, things we've talked about like that, but also the isolation. You know, in the studio, engineers rave about these. You know, and that's not us. Like I get told by these people, you know, all the time. They just absolutely love it, man. Dream to work with. Yeah,
which makes it easy for the engineer to mix. You don't have to try to figure out how to compress the other sound of the tom next to it. Yep. And it gives that isolation to make it cleaner.
Exactly.
You know, so and overheads and everything. So
yes, sir.
I think it's well designed, very well designed.
Absolutely.
The instruments. These are instruments.
They truly are.
Microphones, but they're really true instruments within themselves.
The role that they play.
Yeah, exactly.
Functions as an instrument.
True
for
instruments,
us.
yes.
Absolutely.
That's what I consider them.
Yeah.
You know, not just additives, but within themselves, they're instruments.
Absolutely. Anything that contributes to the sound that makes it to that end listener. That's part of the instrument, right?
Drums are instruments. These are instruments that help the drums translate.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Well, you've had a career with some incredible accomplishments. You know, you can Google your name and you can read about yourself for quite a while. But what do you have on the horizon? What's coming up for you? I know you just finished Drumeo. Anything similar like that, or what else do you have going on?
Well, I just did an interview for Drumeo. They want me to come back and do another one. Drumeo appearance. And that's in the works at some point, either this year or next year. Yeah. Working on a book project, coffee table book project that encompasses my life and my career.
Very cool.
I'm talking to publishers now.
I'll be your first buyer.
Fantastic. I'll be doing my own drum loop CD project as well. That's
awesome.
Works for later this year, as well as a bass and drums combination sample library as well.
Goodness gracious.
And then I have my own music in itself. I write music and I do some vocals as well. Yeah. But I want to do some funk music. I love funk music. I love rock music. So I want to try to get my fans and my audience to get to experience my rock side of my abilities.
Goodness.
You know, so which I haven't been able to put forth that much, except for with Elton John.
Yeah.
You know, but I want to do some rock stuff.
You're busier than me, man. You run for president 2020, brother. You are.
I was thinking about throwing in my hat if I had a hat, but no. But I bring some drums into the White House and we shake it up over there.
There you go.
Into Congress and shake it up.
Maybe that's what they need.
You know what I'm saying? Show them how to coordinate some of them bills over there. They're trying to put forth. They having trouble with.
Yep.
Yeah. Syncopate some of that stuff.
Exactly. Well, Jonathan, man, it's a pleasure to sit down and talk to you. It's a true honor, my friend.
It's a pleasure of mine.
Huge fan of your drumming, and I'm not the only one. I can tell you that. But
thank you so much.
So thank you to Earthworks for setting all this up. You know, had a fantastic time. Jonathan Moffett, everybody.
Thank you, Earthworks, for being so wonderful. You're incredible.